Ask Reddit. What's your best story that is 100% real but nobody believes you? My friend got a girl pregnant when he was 13 and the girl was 15. They met at the beach in Panama City, Florida. She was rich and lived in Ohio. He was poor and lived in Georgia. My friend never told anyone but me. He is now 28 and has a 15-year-old kid only I know about. The only reason he got away with it is because this girl's family was super rich. The girl never said who the guy was and would sometimes fly down to visit him in secret. I did not believe this shit until I saw pictures of his kid. His kid has never met him either, and I do not think he even knows he exists. I always daydreamed that if my friend died I would have to tell his parents that he actually had a kid and they had been a grandma/grandpa for 15 years and never knew it.
When I was 15 years old, I was in my kitchen, home alone, cutting a pineapple. There was a fly that was buzzing around my face for the past 2 minutes and it was getting really fucking annoying, so, just for the heck of it, out of pure blind rage, I grabbed my knife and swung it at the fly in midair. I sliced the fly in half. Sliced it in fucking half. After I did that, I immediately realized no one would ever believe me. On the way to visit a friend, my husband and I got lost on a highway in Pennsylvania. By some weird chance, my husband's friend drives past us in the opposite direction. We see him and turn around to catch up to him. Finally pulling over, we are standing on the side of the road, 2-lane highway, discussing the directions to the friend's house. Surrounding us are farms with corn and other various crops. Out of nowhere, a duck appears on the opposite side of the road. He is looking at us curiously while we are talking. We watch him look both ways and waddle across the road to where we are standing. Cars are honking at him as they attempt to drive past. He gets over to my husband, pecks at his shoe once, and then promptly walks back across the street, dodging cars traveling at highway speed. He made it back across the street and disappeared into the crops. He risked his life to peck my husband's shoe and simply waddled out of our lives. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was really into humorous wiki vandalizations and thought it would be funny to claim that kiwi fruit were once called hairy bush fruit. I modified the page on kiwi fruit to say so. I cut and paste some random Chinese characters from elsewhere in the article and put this in. Hairy bush fruit maomugua. Since then, it has been repeated all over the place and currently returns 61,000 hits on Google. It has been printed in The Guardian, which means it is now a 100% verifiable fact and will quite likely never be removed from the offending article. It is a kind of scary implication. The Guardian journalist that wrote that article should have noted that Wikipedia was used as reference, but didn't. There could quite easily be other circular references like this, where a journo repeats something incorrect lifted from Wikipedia and publishes it, which then means the incorrect fact can be referenced in the press. What the fuck? Why did I almost try Googling hairy bush fruit at work? I was responsible for almost getting Game 3 of the 2004 World Series locked down because I was radioactive. I had been having some chest pains and my doctor scheduled me for a thallium stress test that morning. Everything went fine. Headed out to Busch Stadium that evening for the game. We're in line heading for the gate and get to the security checkpoint. The police officer in front of us told us to stop and yelled at another officer to lock down the gate. He kept looking at this little box in his hand, and since I was directly in front of him, I could see the numbers jumping up and then going down and then jumping up again. I asked him what the box was, and he told me that it measured radiation. It's at this point that I start kind of freaking out in my head. I was convinced that someone had left a backpack with a dirty bomb somewhere near the gate. After about 5 minutes, the police officer radioed for assistance and advised the officers at the other gates to lock down. About a minute after that, a mix of 10 other officers and firefighters are swarming around us, waving these boxes around and telling each other, "Yep, I'm reading it too. It's right around here." One of the firefighters stood in front of the line and asked if anyone was carrying anything that might be radioactive or if anyone had been exposed to radioactive isotopes. And then it hits me, I'd been exposed to radioactive isotopes. I get the firefighter's attention and frantically explain to him about the stress test and the radioactive dye that I'd been shot full of. I'm immediately surrounded by the rest of the troops and they quickly confirm that I am, in fact, the source of the radiation. They briefly ask me about the stress test, shrug, and unlock the gate. Never asked for my ID or anything. I think it was I probably looked more relieved than they did. The cards lost.
Was in Sao Paulo on a business trip. The night before departure, I wanted a drink, but the lounge of the hotel was closed for a private party. I didn't want to go out of the building alone at that time, so I started talking to one of the private guards. Then this lady came closer and asked if there were problems. I explained to her I was hoping to get a drink, but didn't want to bother. She started talking in a very good English. I can speak enough Portuguese to get by, but am definitely not fluent, and explained me it was a party after a wedding. She was older than me, probably late 40s, but very good looking. She asked me if I wanted to join her upstairs for a drink, and she brought me to her room. We spent 30 minutes banging on every possible surface until she told me she had to go back to the lounge. I asked her why the hurry, and she told me she was the mother of the bride. I felt like in a MasterCard advert.
How I ended up with my dog. I was on my way to the bus when I saw this dog calmly walking about. He approached me, I petted him a bit, and went on my way. For some reason, he kept on following me. There were other people around us, but he kept on walking behind me. The bus station is by a busy street. I hoped to shake him off by the time I got there, but no. I wasn't sure what would happen if I got on the bus. Would he run after it? Would he hop on the bus? The stop I intended to hop off on is another heavily trafficked place. Neither of the options looked good, so I did the only thing I could think of. I headed home. On the way, I called my dad and told him a dog was following me. He laughed, thinking it was my way of trying to skip school. He went along with it though, promising to drive us to the nearby dog shelter. Imagine his surprise when I come home with a dog. So, we drive to the dog shelter, where we have to turn him in. A week or so later, we get a call saying that no one had claimed the dog or reported him missing. My dad wanted a dog, different breed though, but seeing as this fellow had followed me around, he figured, welp, this is the dog. And that, kids, is how I met my dog. This is him.
And speaking of pets, this is Kiana, my new pet. Help me feed her by liking and subscribing. See what I did there? New videos every day. See ya.